The question that I had for you potentially is, if there's so much research out there about this being the right way to learn, or research out there to showcase this research, why hasn't it made its way into schools and into general populations if the research is out there?
So that's a good question. One of them is simply that it kind of has, but not in the way that you'd think. So, I mean, I know this because my parents were school teachers, and so they would go to these professional development seminars where there would always be the latest educational researcher talking about the latest, okay, we found students learn better doing this and stuff. But my parents weren't going to the classroom and then teaching that to the students. They were just trying to use that, hopefully, to reflect on their curricula. So there probably have been a lot of shifts in the classes you've taken compared to, let's say, 100 years ago that are reflective of developments in cognitive science. Unfortunately, a lot of educational research is not that bad. Some of the fads are kind of, I don't want to say that it's all good and like everything is clear. So there is a lot of, different schools of thought on things there. And I think that influences education. Not to mention that as institutions, schools have so many other constraints, like they have to teach this very specific curricula and they have to hit all these targets. And if there's standardized tests, they have to prepare their kids for the standardized tests. And there's all these other things that go into it. So basically what you see is the kind of finished product of a bunch of different people who are all sort of, doing their best, but sometimes not always the best informed, but just trying to work together under lots of constraints, and then this is the end product. And as a student, though, this is all invisible to you. And so I think it might be nice if there was a study skills class which taught students how to study for things, or even just before you begin difficult classes, that there was, something explaining the benefit of spacing, or explaining the benefit of retrieval practice, or explaining that, you need to really work on understanding the idea, not just trying to memorize the solution procedure. All of these things that I think are fairly well understood outside of, inside the cognitive science literature. And so I think that could be beneficial. And I know some places they do try to do little bits of that. But I think also part of it is that there is, I think, a prevailing assumption in education that it kind of often treats the student as a sort of a passive object. Like, what can we do to make them learn, as opposed to really adopting the student's perspective of what can I do to help this person achieve their goals and learn the things that they are interested in and they have a motivation to do. And you never see it spelled out that way, but you read a lot of stuff and it seems like that's the way that we think about it, is that we tell teachers what to do and they teach the students, and the students sit there and they absorb. And this model of education is I think deeply rooted in our kind of cultural psychology. And so for me, I mean, I'm just one guy writing a book, and I'm not even a scientist, so you can dismiss me. But I think that what I'm trying to do is flip that script a little bit and to offer a book that is really from the perspective of a learner, from someone who, not just how do you study a test, but like if you were to take control of your own education, if you were to take control of your own skills and development and training, what would you do? What would be the right way to do it? And so I think there are far fewer books written with that perspective in mind than there are from, teacher-centric or institutionally centric approaches of how do we fix education, or what's the best way to teach schools, or what have you.
Thank you for watching this video. To listen to the full podcast, click the link in the description below.